Welcome to the Do Nothing Project. I'm your guest host tonight, Andrew Lenards. And if you've not been here before, this is the Do Nothing Project. Like standards, we try to keep what we do to a minimum. I'll be guiding, if you've never been here before, I'll be guiding about a 25-minute practice. I'll offer a little bit of framing around where that practice came from and kind of how I've been using it in my practice in my life. And then afterwards, well, I should say a 25-minute practice with a frameliness practice at the end is our custom. And then at the end, we'll look at some reports for how it was for folks. So that's where we're headed. I'm in an echoey room, and I'm pretty sure my video is pixelated. So we're already off to an excellent start with keeping our standards low. So I'll check in just to make sure that you guys can hear me. But if you are picking up a bit of an echo, I went with the mic that has an echo. So, okay, not pixelated at all. That is outstanding. Okay. So I've learned to both be grateful to have internet, but also that to sort of roll with the subpar things at times. So Schmitty, hello, it's excellent. Okay, so yeah, so love the echo, good. Okay, well then I intended that all along. So Jill and Johnny, great to see you as well. Fred, Heidi Jane, I know Lauren is in here somewhere. Lily and Jeff, great to see you. Amy. So again, the other thing is part of the major benefit for me is to be part of this community that has come up around the Do Nothing Project, and so I very much appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity to fill in, to be Joan Rivers to Jeff's Johnny Carson from time to time. So, okay, so it sounds like the video gods are willing. I just did a sound check on my channel and super pixelated. So that is most excellent. Last week at the end, Jeff had mentioned that I would be the guest host, and so I had sort of said, yeah, I've got a theme, and the theme is Econo. So I threw that out there. Mainly because I'd been playing around with a bit of this notion for me, and it's been part of sort of an ethos that I was very fond of from pretty early age, an impressionable teenager listening to indie music. And so that whole sort of 80s, 90s do-it-yourself, self-publishing, indie labels, that whole approach to music was really one that I absolutely loved, because it was democratizing or taking out sort of who decides what bands are going to be big and what bands aren't. And so that connection with your fans, being able to go to shows where you could have somebody fall on you or sweat on you. That was an amazing way to connect to a music community. And one of the bands that really resonated with me, I was listening to them sort of post them being a band, but they had come out of a town called San Pedro, California. And if you know San Pedro, it's there's a lot of working class folks. It's I believe mostly a port town, and that band was the Minutemen. And they had this moniker that they used around sort of their way of being and participating and playing music, picked up from their trusty Ford Econoline van. At least that's the lingo that I had heard. And they used that as sort of a way of a verb. So they said that they jam Econo, or they're bringing Econo. And so that's ECONO, so short for that Econoline, which is a model of the Ford van. And this was a way of looking at, not to say that their music was cheap or that they didn't have wholehearted and authentic music. It was more to bring about this bang for the buck this way that they were bringing a real low frills or no frills, bare bones approach to both touring and recording music and performing music live. And so that really sort of caught me as a almost universal way of kind of looking at things. And so if you hear Mike Watt will often say, looking almost in a way like, what can we do with the things we have? What can I take and jam Econo with that? So I thought it would be really interesting to kind of use that as a tag, and as I look at practices, how can I make them more Econo, or like how can I, as someone who gravitates towards this do nothing project, the do nothing approach, bring that in. And my primary practice is sort of the Zen Shikantaza, which is almost depending on how you translate it, it's a very sort of emphatic, just this, only sitting, or just sitting. And that notion of Econo to me really matches with that, matches with this idea of do nothing, that are all kind of coming together around. That sort of is our flag of like let's strip things down, let's just be. So I really thought that would be a sort of appropriate thing for us to come together around. So to predict and kind of give you a little bit of guidance on where we're headed. So we'll start out in similar to how when I normally guide, I'll do sort of my pre-flight checklist, but we'll have, hopefully from my style of guidance, we'll have some longer sort of luscious breaks in there for you to play around and experiment and sort of jam on this in your sort of practice, how that's coming up for you. So the sit will be nearly nothing, but it will definitely be Econo. I'll check in one more time too here, just to see where everyone's at. If there are any questions. And thank you to Jeff and Lily holding down the fort. Lauren, who does a great job of saying hello to everyone. We definitely appreciate that. And if I didn't get a chance to say, I love being in the chat because I get a chance to say hi to everybody. So I didn't get a chance to say hi to everyone. So this is my hello before we start. Yes, you just made it. Perfect timing. So again, let's see, it's 8 minutes past the hour. That means that we'll round up right about, let's see if I can do the math right, 33, 34 minutes past the hour. Oh, normal thing we should sort of mention before, if you have your own practice, you're welcome to do that practice. You can always allow my guidance to kind of fade into the background and go with that. If you're here for purely community and you just want to kind of knit or color or whatever, totally awesome as well. All right, let's do this. So as I mentioned, we'll start out with my pre-flight checklist. And so I use my mnemonic PTC. So that's for posture, tension, calming. So as we begin, we want to adopt a posture that is comfortable yet upright. The spine is long. Shoulders over the hips. We do this so that we can adopt this posture so there's not a lot of effort around us. We can hold it for the 25 minutes we have together. And for the T, the tension part, just beginning sort of a torso scan to see if we have any tension. Starting at the top of the head, the forehead, noticing if there's any tension and sort of inviting relaxation. And if not, no big deal. Any tension around the eye, maybe the jaw or just behind the jaw and the neck. The neck and the shoulders. And if you're feeling sort of an exaggerated shrug and a drop, then the C is calming or calming breaths. And so as the Beastie Boys like to say, low and slow. That's the tempo we want for calming breaths. So we're breathing low into the bottom of the lungs. And we're exhaling slow. And it's that low and slow that helps bring about, as Jeff says, the downward motion. And that downward motion helps bring the parasympathetic online. And so just to remind everyone, there's a waypoint we have right here, and you could stay right here in this simple and relaxed open stance. And this is a complete path to practice in and of itself. So just this. So some folks like to hang out right here. And it's also worth knowing that you can come back to this place. So anytime in the guidance, everything I offer is an invitation for experimenting. So you can always come back to just this spot. So we'll begin by setting up our stance for this guidance together. And that stance will be one of allowing. So we're not creating, we're not fabricating, we're not producing. We're allowing our experience to show up as it wants, express itself through the five senses. And in doing so, we're leaning on our equanimity muscle here, using that inner smoothness to help us be in this stance. So again, we're upright, remaining still, not tense, not rigid. In doing so, we conserve effort. And by doing nothing, we are this sort of bang for the buck. We are Econo. So let's explore this for a while, and I'll check in a bit. Good. So just know I'm still here. Power's still on. Internet's still good. So we talked about how things may show up, and know that your experience may not match the expectations. Things might not be serene. Tranquil reward states might not be available. We're being sparing with our effort and experimenting what it's like to let go of the wheel, to not steer. So that can come up with a little bit of an agitation. Again, just this discord, a mismatch. So see if we can do this experimentation with laid back, no big deal tone of curiosity. We're just checking out what this is like. Check that out some more. So we're around the halfway point. And if this experimentation or this letting go of the wheel leaves you feeling too ungrounded, we want to make sure that we honor that and acknowledge that. And with care, one of our 4 core skills, we can shift to our home base if that's the case, or change to a technique that can help give you a little more grounding. Maybe that's focusing on the sounds around you or opening your eyes. Again, just if you're feeling ungrounded, it's an option. Give you some more time here and check in, probably 3 or 4 minutes. So as we get still, we might notice sort of more acutely sounds around us. That stillness gives us a contrast. And we may have thinking that comes up, planning, fantasy, daydream, things along those lines. And we're not trying to stop any of that. We're not trying to get rid of the thinking. Just trying to see if we can let it be. And if we can't, we can always consider shifting technique, but stick with it if you can. And if the thinking is persistent, it's a chance to flex our inner smoothness muscle or equanimity skill. Just a few more minutes here and we'll shift into our friendliness practice. Good. So we'll shift gears slightly and close our practice and our time together with a friendliness or a nurture positive practice. And what I've selected for us today is a self-compassion practice. And like traditional metta practice, we'll consider some phrases that help cultivate friendliness or sort of an inner warmth towards ourselves in this case. And we use those phrases, silently repeating them, or you could say them out loud and wherever you are, if that permits. I'll offer you some phrases, but realize that you can always substitute your own or shift and make them up in the moment if needed. But I'll just offer some that come to mind. So we'll work with 3 phrases. May I not complicate things. May I have faith in my own DIY genius. May I be Econo. So we can just focus on the phrases as an object of our concentration, or we can see what arises in the body from an emotional response. We'll offer the phrases a few more times. They're a little complicated. May I not overcomplicate things. May I have faith in my own do-it-yourself genius. May I be Econo. May I not overcomplicate things. May I have faith in my own DIY genius. May I be Econo. And one more time, and I'll let you work with them for a little bit. May I not overcomplicate things. May I have faith in my own DIY. So as you work with phrases, sometimes using shorthand or pulling a word or two out of the phrases suffices in helping us cultivate that friendliness or stoking that inner warmth. So we could use simple, faith, Econo. Simple, faith, Econo. And shorten to just that. Or keep doing the long form. Your choice. And continue here, about a minute left. Thank you for your practice. And it's quite remarkable to see that. And so I just want to tag into the way that meditation is becoming expressed in the West. You can see these sort of threads of bringing that ethos, that's do-it-yourself sort of ethos, into the Sangha and sitting groups and meditation groups. So just a plug for cecmeditate.com and the activation kit that's there. I used to flyer for Mike Watt shows when I first moved to Tucson, and Mike Watt would sort of grab me by the shoulder and tell me that I needed to start a band. and maybe I should have, but I didn't start a band. And yet I feel like the community that is here, or that can be formed, or that could be started by you in your network, is a way to bring that do-it-yourself out into the world. And so, yeah, so cecmeditate.com, there's an activation kit there, very authentically, painstakingly, and lovingly put together on how you could, kind of do this thing yourself and be that sort of meditation DIY. genius. So, all right. Yeah. So Christina's right. May I jam Econo actually may have been. I'm going to steal that, and I will use that for that next time. And then 2, I didn't get a chance to say hi to Gabrielle. So hello, Gabrielle, Chris. Okay, so hopefully everyone can. I see Patricia says she's losing me, so hopefully I'm still. Hopefully I'm still here. I endeavor to be a person of no rank, but I'd like to remain this person until I can check out what folks have for responses and reports. Yeah, so may I not overcomplicate things. So in the spirit of Dante Hicks, giving credit where credit's due, Jeff really helped crafted the theme phrases at the end there. So big bow to Jeff for that. Okay, let's just see. All right. You are very welcome, Fred. Jackie, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, Johnny, it's always good to see our representative from the Scandinavian region. And then I think it was Saban and Heidi Jane who were talking about their indie music roots last week. So just, I think I'm a little behind here. So, okay. Awesome. Okay, so hopefully folks saw me. Where's the spinning wheel? The dreaded spinning pinwheel of death for Mac computers, at least. Oh, thank you, Jeff. That is a good point. My cell phone was too close. Yeah, okay. So then I need to switch that into airplane mode. Thank you for that. So big nod to Jeff on that. Thank you. Jeff Groves. The GSM hum. Yes, Barking Nomad. Yeah. Hopefully the audio was not humming the whole time. It may have been, since my phone was there for my timing device. Awesome. So Jeff will be back next week. Yeah. Okay. So Diane. So in a not uncomplicated manner, how do you let go, but not totally drift away? So so just as a thought, that would be one of the things that I would say you can kind of play with. And so the last sitting I led was that settle, expand, coast. It was like in sort of 3 parts. So one way to play with how to let go without drifting away is to use a meditation timer that chimes at intervals. And so you can kind of decide in advance to do sort of 5 minutes of sort of letting go, and then that 5-minute timer will time, and then you can shift to a home base or shift to your breath or the feeling of the body, and then play with that. And then in the spirit of the 4 skills that Jeff talks about, that concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity, all those skills and the care to do this are all being trained whenever we're sitting. And so over time, we begin to be able to let go without sort of feeling that total drift away sort of aspect. The other take on this would be drift away and see what happens. And that's the no big dealness, or the not making a problem out of it. So allow yourself to drift away and then see how that is as an experience. So hopefully that's helpful. There's a teacher who says that he responds to questions. He doesn't answer questions. And so I very much like that. So I offer that as my response, and I'll let you decide if it is an answer or is helpful. Excellent. So Gabrielle is saying that you were able to get behind the waterfall. That's that notion of when you're able to sort of pop out of the normal stream. So that's great to hear. That's really great to hear, Gabrielle. So that's super awesome. Okay, and so Diana says that sounds good. Okay, excellent. Yeah, the waterfall is such an amazing metaphor. I have no idea where that is 100% from. I think it's from the Theravadan teachings, or at least in the Pali Canon, but no idea beyond that. All right, so I said Pali Canon, which means that I'm like out of my depths as far as what I'm qualified to say or do. I'm Buddhist curious, but not a Buddhist teacher. Thank you again so much for your time together and your practice and diligence. I really do. It warms my heart in a remarkable amount of ways. Again, Jeff will be back next week, and I will be there or there, depending on which side, wherever Chad is, that's where I'll be next week. So signing off.